transition.
Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to call Chris Farfoy because, but before I do, is this a split call with the Greens or is this a? It's
not that I'm aware of, Mr. Speaker.
I call Chris Farfoy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to the Building Amendment Bill, and it was going to be a relatively short contribution, but for the benefit of Mr. Henare, seeing as he's asked for more, we'll try and extend it as far as we possibly can. As far as we possibly can from the benefit of the member. Mr. Speaker, I rise following David Clark for the second reading of this bill. As he stated, we do oppose this bill. We didn't oppose this bill at the first reading, but upon hearing evidence and submissions at the select committee stage, it has become clear to us that there are a number of concerns around the fullness of the measures being taken in this bill, and that they don't, in fact, tackle a number of the issues that have come about by, as David Clark had mentioned, concerns around the leaky building phenomenon in New Zealand. So we believe that this is, in its current state, a piecemeal piece of legislation. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, it was a piece of legislation that, as I said, was a piece of legislation that we did support. It entered this House with high hopes that it would take some very concrete measures to ensure there was a certain degree of accountability across, Mr. Speaker, across the industry and also with homeowners to ensure that there was accountability around the issue of leaky buildings, but as it became clear in the Select Committee, this bill did not meet those requirements. Labor supported this bill to Select Committee, and while we're in broad agreement with the direction of the Building Act review, which of course began under Labor, we won't be supporting this Building Amendment Bill number 3 any further at the second reading stage. Mr. Speaker, I believe it was a New Zealand First member earlier on in this debate who said that the onus is on us to make sure that we do get regulations. Pardon? Sorry, that's a former New Zealand First member on that side of the House. It's a current New Zealand First member in the Parliament who said the onus is on us to make sure that we get regulations around building right, given recent history with the leaky building experience, and when we are talking about the likes of schools and homes and hospitals, it is, Mr. Speaker, a responsibility of this House to make sure we get this legislation right, and that's why at this stage we have chosen not to support it because of its piecemeal nature. Mr. Speaker, listening to those submitters at the Select Committee, we believe that this bill, and a lot of submitters agreed with Labor at the Select Committee stage, that this bill should be scrapped and we should be starting again, and that we should have a broader package of measures around regulations for the accountability of the building industry and protections for consumers in a new Building Amendment Bill. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of the bill, as Mr. Clark said, are worthy, and that's why we did support it at the first stage. And for those listening at home at 9:45, they are listening for interjections from Mr. Henare. But for the purpose of the bill, it is your bill, so maybe they might want to hear what the purpose of the bill is. The purpose of the bill is to change or clarify the building consent and inspection requirements. That building design and construction requirements are also changed and clarified, that the licensed building practitioners regime is changed and clarified, and that the law relating to DIY projects, which I'm sure Mr. Henare is a dab hand at, dab hand, not dab fist, is also changed to ensure that there are the appropriate requirements for better protection for, and I guess it is, as David Clark said, adequate protection for consumers. Mr. Speaker, as a number of our speakers have said, we won't be supporting this legislation because of its piecemeal nature. We believe there is significant change. We believe there is significant change needed in this area, and that while we did commend the bill for select committee stage, it has become clear to us that it no longer meets the requirements of this side of the House, indeed, to support it in terms of that significant change. We also think that it is risky and unwise to legislate this piecemeal legislation, the set of measures at a time when the industry is facing a rather large surge of demand around the increased needs of Christchurch and nationally the repair of leaky homes. Of course, a huge skills deficit, one that we don't think is being addressed, and uncertainty about whether there will be and concern and uncertainty about whether there will be sufficient builders entering the new licensing scheme. And I hear the member for Kaikoura, Mr. Colin King, someone who I respect personally, says that it is rubbish that there is a skill shortage. It is a fact that there is a skill shortage, and that under the 49th Parliament, the National Party actually decreased the number of training places. So it's a complete fact that there is a significant shortage of skills, especially in this area when we're looking at a significant rebuild of Christchurch and the repair of leaky homes. Mr. Speaker, it is an onus on this Parliament to make sure that we do have a set of thorough regulations and legislation around building and the accountability of those who are involved in the building process. We don't believe that this bill supplies the people of New Zealand with that. We thought it might do at the first reading, but as submissions went forward in the select committee process, it became clear to us, because of the volume and the nature of the concerns of the submitters at the select committee stage, that this legislation won't achieve what it set out to achieve, and it's for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, that we won't be recommending that we won't be supporting this bill because of its piecemeal nature. We think the bill needs that there is significant change needed around the law, and that's why we won't be supporting this bill any further.
I call Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Building Amendment Bill number 3 provides for clearer accountability for building